Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on Wave Now. I'm Maira Ansari with Dr. Stephen Taylor from UofL Health Peace Hospital. So today we are talking about Self-Care Awareness Month because that's what September is. And we know that self-care is so important. Dr. Taylor, what do you do for self-care?
That feels like a trick question.
Why? No, give me your honest answer.
Well, because I think the problem with self-care is it's one of those things that we all put off. We all imagine doesn't really make any difference. I was having a lot of thoughts about this self-care question as you were getting us ready to go live.
Okay.
And one of the thoughts I was having is how much we pin our sense of self-worth on what other people think of us.
True. Yes,
So,
we do that.
we tend to take care of ourselves if we feel valued by other people, if we have other people around us who are telling us that we're important, we tend to be more likely to take care of ourselves. People who are married live longer than people who are single. And I think one of the reasons for that is people who are married tend to be more likely to take care of themselves because they have somebody around them valuing them. And it's hard for us to just value ourselves for our own sake without having some external sense that we have value and that we're valuable.
There is some, I think we feel guilty, for taking time out for ourselves. Sometimes life is chaotic, right? So why I just don't have the time for myself right now. I don't have time to sit down and book a massage for myself. Or for me personally, my self-care is I love to walk and I love Zumba. And like today I had a crazy morning, but I was like, I'm going to do both. It has to be, for me, it has to be intentional. I have to make it a point to do it.
Right.
So it's very intentional. It's very like, this is my 45 minutes in the day. This is my 1 hour.
Yeah.
So it feels like I have to really focus and get it done. And if you all are joining us, I want to know what you do for self-care. If you do anything, please tell us what you do, how often you do it, and why you make it a point. How do you feel afterwards to do that sort of thing? So it is, I think we've learned maybe something from the pandemic, like how important it is to take care of me. And have my time, right?
Sure.
And not feel that guilt.
Yeah, I think that's right. And, I was thinking about this may feel completely off topic.
Okay.
But one of the thoughts that I was having was I was listening to a public radio report a couple of weeks ago or something, talking about a group of therapists were dealing with heroin addicts who are living on the streets. And one of the approaches they have is to spend a lot of time on the streets with addicts, making sure they're okay, checking in with them, letting them know that they're valued and they care about them. These are all things that relate to self-care, because one of the things that the addicts really have to have before they're going to really start taking care of themselves is a sense that they're valued, that they have any value, that they mean anything. If they feel like you think they're important, then they can begin to feel like they themselves are important. And I think that's sort of a lesson that we can take in our own experience. I think one of the things that we really need to feel is that we feel valued by the people around us. If we feel that, then we can feel valuable to ourselves.
That's a good point. I guess for me, I have always looked at it as I have to do this for myself. I have to, but you're right. Sometimes it does take a village for someone to say, you know what, you are important, you matter, and I care about you. And then you feel that sense of self-worth and that value, like someone sees me. I always say, to be seen makes a difference. Sometimes we can feel invisible in our world.
Right.
And when you feel seen, you realize your own value.
And I think it is about self-worth to a large extent, because one of the reasons we do so much for the people around us is because it makes us feel like we have value if we're doing things to take care of people. And some of those things are important tasks for us to do, right? I mean, taking care of our kids, that's an important thing for us to do.
Yeah.
But we do feel like we have self-worth and value, and we take care of our families. That's part of what makes us feel like we're valuable. If we have pets and we take care of our pets, we feel like we have value because we're taking care of our pets.
And they love us back, and that makes you feel amazing.
Yeah, they like it when we take care of them.
Exactly.
And so those are a lot of the ways that we do self-care, is how we see ourselves taking care of the people around us. We often neglect ourselves in that. and realize that taking care of ourselves directly is important. Like you were saying, doing the exercise in the morning. You're not exercising for your kids necessarily. You're doing it for you, but indirectly you're doing it for your family because it makes you healthier. You're going to be around longer, hopefully, and you're going to be healthier, and you're going to be more valuable and more useful to the people around you.
Absolutely. And I think we can't underestimate the mental positive, I don't want to say toll sounds negative, but just it does take a positive toll, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm making sense there, but when you exercise, you feel better. You have your endorphins going. I'm a better mom because I feel like I'm in a better mood and I'm not yelling and screaming. So
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, it does stimulate a part of our brain that gives us pleasure, and we enjoy that. It feels good. And it's healthy for our brains to do things that are good for the people around us, but it's also good for ourselves to do things that are good for us too.
Okay. So what happens when we take care of everybody else? I take care of my home, I take care of my coworkers, I take care of my kids, my husband. And what if I don't take any time for me?
Well, I mean, imagine you're a car, and you're carting your family all over town, but nobody ever changes your oil, or nobody ever changes your spark plugs, or your tires never get rotated or changed. You've got the same brakes you've been using for 160,000 miles. Those things are going to get worn out and you're going to stop working. So just like we maintain our vehicle because it carts us around and does all the things we need to do, we're kind of like that. We've got to take care of ourselves too. We have to be functional and keep working.
Do you think as a culture, this is a broad question, but maybe in our society, maybe we're in a negative space sometimes because we haven't done that?
I think that's very true. There was I was listening to a radio segment on my way in today that was talking about things that are important for our mental health and staving off depression. One of them was one of the most important one was just sleep, getting sleep, making sure you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. We don't even think about that. In fact, we live in a culture that's going to reward us for not sleeping, pulling all-nighters to get a job done, to get it in on time, coming in. And you living here in the news industry, you could get called at all hours of the night to come in and work on a news story.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the expectation that you're going to do that, that the sleep doesn't even matter. Just, get dressed and get in here. We've got this thing to do.
I think sometimes in our culture, we think that if you aren't giving your everything and anything to whatever cause it is, whether it's a job or whatever it is, then you're just not dedicated enough.
Right.
You're not working hard enough, which is not true.
That's exactly right. So there's this negative thing that we sort of cast over ourselves. To use Sigmund Freud's language, it casts a shadow over our egos. It casts the shadow over ourselves. There's this negative thing that gets put on top of us that's a cultural problem. It's not our problem, but we take it on and it becomes our problem because we don't take care of ourselves. Culture tells us it's more important just to get the work done and not so much important for you to take care of you.
I think since we started this podcast, one of the biggest things that I have learned for myself, and you've heard me say the word boundaries several times, because in my self-care journey, I had to create boundaries. This is my time. The weekend is my time. It is not for 50 million events. It is not for, all the birthday parties on the calendar. It is just, there has to be some type of limit where you can't do it all.
Yeah, boundaries, I think that's so important. And boundaries are the hardest things for us to draw as part of self-care. One of the things as a therapist that's crucial for the work that I do is creating a boundary for the space for the therapeutic work to happen in. How I make my office, who comes and goes, how people get into my office, how people get out. The hours that I keep, all those things are boundaries that protect that space. And that's such a crucial element for our self-care, is to have good, healthy boundaries. It's so easy for us not to do that. And again, we live in a culture that rewards us for not having them.
And it's okay to say no.
Yeah, it's crucial. And it's also okay to say that no is a complete sentence.
Are you going to do this? No.
Period.
No.
We're done.
It's not, there's nothing else left, because the more I think I've been so guilty of this my whole life, people pleasing. right?
hmm
And so I'm doing everything to make everybody happy, and I'm miserable throughout the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
thing. And then like I'm not taking care of myself, but I took care of everybody else, and I'm the one griping about it.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, taking care of other people can make us feel good. It can be a good thing for us. But if we do it, ignoring our own needs, and
Mhm.
that's not healthy. That's not good for us.
No, it's not. All right. So I hope that whatever you are doing today, you find some little window for yourself that you can just be like, you know what? I was worth that time.
Right.
I was worth that 15-minute walk. I was worth that, I just needed to lay down for 20 minutes. And
Mhm.
sometimes people at work laugh at me, but sometimes I just need to put my head down
Right.
and I just need to get myself together.
And I think you said something very important there too. You don't have to take a lot of time to do this.
No.
A 15-minute break, that's plenty. That's quite a lot, actually.
Absolutely. And maybe you listening to us today was your self-care. We motivated you to do something positive for yourself. Whether it's, hey, you want to go do something to make yourself feel, beautiful or handsome or more relaxed or whatever it may be, just something to make yourself feel better. There's no guilt in that.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So practice self-care. We want you all to be better. I appreciate your time today.
It's my pleasure.
All right.
This is my self-care.
That's so sweet. This is my self-care too. We always laugh that every time Dr. Taylor comes, I feel like I have a little therapy session at some point. So, hey, do whatever you can to make yourself feel better physically and mentally. It is so important to take care of you. I'm Maira Ansari with Dr. Stephen Taylor. Hope you have a great day.